Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Raid YouTube channel. My name is Nitin. I am the guy who runs the channel, and I'm going to be talking about. I'm pretty much going to be featured in all the videos going forward. So, let me tell you a little bit about the Daily Raid since this is our first video. We were primarily first an Instagram page looking at promoting Indian sports, but now we've decided to go into the YouTube platform, just to engage more with the audience and so that we have a better way of reaching out to people. So pretty much what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at Indian sports and sports in general and trying to get people excited about it, trying to inform them about the different sports here, educate them about it, and just have a fun time talking about Indian sports, discussing it with people in public if we can, and maybe chucking a few video games here and there, trying to play out a few hypothetical scenarios. We'll elaborate on that a little further, but essentially it's just to have fun with sports. Uh, without further ado, let's get right into the first video. So the first video, if you can't tell, is going to have something to do with me. Essentially, if it wasn't obvious already, I hail from God's own country, Kerala.
Wow! Beautiful!
That's right. I am a Malayali, but not a hardcore Malayali. I am what many people call a fake Malayali. I'm called a fake Malayali because I can't read a lick of Malayalam, I can't speak a lick of Malayalam, and I can't write a lick of Malayalam. In other words, I just look Malayali. I just look Malayali. But either way, I'm here to talk about one of the most exciting sports that Kerala has to offer, but is not really well known pan-India or across the world, and that is the snakeboard races. It's a traditional race which usually happens around the time of Onam. So it has a lot of deep religious roots and traditional roots in in Malayali culture and the culture of Kerala as a whole. But in order to understand and break down what the sport is about, we're going to have to look at the history and the myth behind the sport. So the myth behind the sport has a lot to do, as expected, around the Onam time. I'm not sure about the exact year, so don't call me out for it. But it has to do with the head of of this family called the Katur Mana. They hail in the Alapura district, which is where I'm from as well. But basically, the head of the Katur Mana in this not so well known period had a daily ritual of giving food to the poor people in the area. And on one particular day, it just so happened that there were no poor people who came to collect the food. But he had a daily ritual and he wanted to see it through. So what he did was he prayed to Lord Krishna, whom he was a huge devotee of, and after a little bit of praying, this young boy came up to him, ate the food, and then suddenly disappeared. He was then spotted later on in the Aranmula temple, and given the circumstances, it's not every day you see someone disappear and appear in a temple. They naturally assumed that this was Lord Krishna coming to answer his prayers, so to speak. So, as per tradition, they decided to send a snake boat every year to Aranmula temple with food in order to honor Lord Krishna and for what he did for answering the prayers of the head of the Katur Mana. That is pretty much how the myth behind the snakeboat race comes and ties into the traditional religious aspects of the Kerala culture. Let's take a step forward to historical facts. I won't say actual historical facts, but historical facts. So the original snake race was actually the snake boat was actually known as the Chundambalam. It was introduced in the 14th century by King Devanarayana of Chembakasheri. I hope I got that right. But yeah, Chembakasheri. And pretty much it's a massive structure. The snakeboard isn't this really small thing, it's huge. It's about 100 to 120 feet and was primarily used to carry people and equipment. It was a warboat canoe, so to speak, and it carried about anywhere between 60 to 130 people at a time. It was massive. But the origins of the snake boat race don't really start with King Devanarayana. It actually goes quite a bit forward post independence with our first and former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. So in 1952, former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru visited Kerala, in particular the Alappuzha district, and the way he got to the Alappuzha district is via snake boat. And once he arrived there, the locals, my brethren, pretty much greeted him and honored him by giving him the view of the first ever snake boat race. At least that's how history has it. And once he got back to Delhi, he decided to honor the winners of the snake boat race with a silver trophy. And that's where the Nehru Trophy boat race starts. This is pretty much the biggest race in snake boat race circuits, so to speak, and it's a huge event which pretty much kicks off snake boat racing season in Kerala. There are people who believe that teams spend around 6 lakhs a year just for that race in particular. But where is the Nehru Trophy boat race right now? So fast forward some 60 plus years and you come to 2019, where Kerala has started the Champions Boat League. They've decided to adopt an IPL format, sort of a boat league with a number of different teams, and they've been pretty much conducting this every year in order to promote one of the most entertaining sports in Kerala and the traditional festivals that take place during this time. So if we're going to get into the CBL, we're going to have to look at the teams that are there, so to speak. So there are about 9 teams that have taken part in this in the Champions Boat League since 2019. Of course, because of COVID, there was no race in 2020 and 2021, but it's a huge deal. The 2023 edition took place between the month of August and December, and of course, it kicked off with the Nehru Trophy boat race. And the prizes were quite good. The first place got about 25 lakhs, the second place about 15, and third place got about 10 lakhs. The teams involved came from a variety of different boat clubs across Kerala. You had teams like the Tropical Titans, the Coast Dominators, Ranging Rowers, Mighty O's, Ripple Breakers, Backwater Warriors, Backwater Kings, Thunder O's, and the Pride Chasers. So these are the franchises that are there in the Champions Boat League. But is it actually raking in the money? So, in order to understand that, you're going to have to see how much it actually costs to, participate in these boat races. So essentially, the boat races take up between 60 to 90 days. That is the period between when the CBL starts and when the CBL ends, and that does not account for practice days as well. So the practice days are 60 days. That's it. 60 days of practice, and the rest of the 30 days are used for the race as such. As for the rest of the days in the year, the boat is pretty much dry docked. And if you're dry docking a 100-foot to 120-foot long boat, it's going to take a lot of maintenance. I mean, it's a huge boat, and as such, when I spoke to someone who has a good knowledge of the boat races, they told me that maintaining the boat is anywhere between 60 to 75,000 rupees a year, which is quite good, considering how much is actually invested in other sports as well. But the real problem comes with how much people are spending to fund these teams. Now keep in mind, I said that the prizes for the CBL are about, the max you can get is 25 lakhs, which is great, it's amazing. But if you take into account how much teams and clubs are spending to participate in these races, there's a lot of work to be done. So, just to read the numbers for you, if you don't mind. I mean, I'm not really good with the mental math part, but I'll get into it. So there are about 8 to 12 races in a year. 60 days of practice, and a total of 90 days are spent in the water once you take into account the entire races. As I said, maintenance is between 60 to 75,000 rupees a year. Then there are some few extra costs in terms of the dry docking base, electricity needed to maintain the dry docking base, and so on. Now we come into the crew. The crew, which includes the rowers, is about 115 people max. That's 115 people that you have to pay, and you do need 115 people. I mean, it's a huge boat, and it needs a lot of rowers in order to get it from start to finish. So it makes sense why there are so many crewmates in the boat. But how much does it cost to get the crew? So for that 90-day period, each person who rows the boat is paid anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 rupees a day. If you take it as 1,000 rupees a day, that's about 90,000 rupees over the 60-day period. You take that into the 115 people you're paying that 90,000 to, and that's about 1 crore over 60 days, which is massive compared to the 25 lakhs you're pretty much playing for. 1 crore. Add that to the maintenance fees, you're paying about 1.1 crore, 4 lakhs a year in 60 days for an event. It's massive. It doesn't really make sense from a financial perspective. Nevertheless, it is a huge part of Kerala's culture, and I understand why people are willing to invest this money. I just believe that there's a lot more to be gained from it. Like with any franchise league, if it is built right, if it is done properly, you can get a lot from Kerala, the Kerala boat races. I'm just spitballing here. I'm not really sure what will work, what won't work, but there are certain things that I believe the CBL, the Champions Boat League, can look at in order to improve the finances surrounding the snake boat races. So for starters, as with anything related to sports, you need eyes on it. It is, I know, a tradition heavily stoked in and raised in Kerala, but it would be important for the CBL to expand. Look at getting viewers from across states. In order to do that, you need a good fan engagement policy, a fan engagement plan. I'm not sure how exactly you'd go about it, but there are definitely ways in which you can engage the viewers and get them excited about the boat races. I've taken a look at some of the social media pages surrounding CBL, and they have about 2,000 followers, which is not even close to the population of Kerala itself. So there's a lot of untapped potential in terms of viewership for the snake boat races. Maybe one fan engagement idea you could think about is try and get a bunch of people and try and train them for a short amount of time to actually row the boat and show them what goes into actually getting the boat from A to B. It's difficult. I mean, you might think it's easy with 100 and 115 people, but these guys are jacked. They're powerful people, and it takes a lot of effort to get the boat from start to finish. And showing fans, showing potential viewers what that's like could be a great way of attracting viewership. Another thing I think that's important is getting celebrities involved. Now, I haven't done my full research on this, so I really don't know if there are any celebrity endorsers for the snake boat race, but I do believe that it's not being used to its full potential. I mean, you have some great Malayali celebrities. Again, I might butcher these pronunciations, but you have the likes of Mammootty, Mohanlal, Suresh Gopi. My knowledge of Bollywood is limited, but yes, you have a lot of famous celebrities who hail from Kerala who could promote the snake boat race and get it across to a wider group of people who might be interested. And finally, pretty much the most basic thing I could come up with is with regards to sponsorships. Now, the CBL does have sponsors. The 2019 edition, as per their website, had companies like Nerolac, HDFC Bank, Kerala State Financial Enterprises, still a German company, Book My Show, Star Sports, Asianet, Kerala Tourism, E-Factor, Social Street, and Hotstar sponsoring the CBL. But I think for the boat clubs, getting sponsors is very important because you need to get people to invest in order to pay that 1+ crore you're paying every year for the boat races. So I mean, it's still like a, again, I'm just spitballing the idea here, but one of the things I feel people could adopt is trying to put the sponsors on the boat. Now, I do realize that that could affect the traditional aspect of the boat, but if you're looking to build a franchise here and get eyes on the event, it should be, it's important to offer the sponsors something. So just the way, in the way like MotoGP races and F1 works, they have their sponsors painted or plastered or stuck onto the car and the vehicle that the racer is driving. So that is one thing you could look at in order to improve the financial aspects of the snakeboard races. You could plaster the sponsors of the team on the boat, make it look flashy, make it look nice, get the eyes on the colorful boats that are racing every year in these 10 to 12 races that take place. You also can get sponsors on the shirt. I believe they're doing that, but it's not really visible because you're watching it from a distance. So getting it on the board could be important, but that's just an idea. In other words, the CBL needs to work on its sponsorship strategy. So I mean, these are just things that the Kerala boat race could do. I know I pretty much kind of rushed through it, but I hope that you guys got the idea of how the snakeboard races work. I hope you guys can get excited about it. Maybe try and take a look at it if you ever end up in Kerala. I actually haven't seen a snakeboard race before, so that would be something I would love to see. But all in due time. Hopefully the 2024 edition is as exciting as the 2023 edition is, and if it does get the eyes and the viewership that I know it deserves, maybe they can up that prize money, maybe they can make it a bit more lucrative and more exciting to watch, and compete with some of the other franchisee leagues that India has to offer. They've got a long way to go, but they could definitely do it. So that's the end of the video. As being the fake Malayali I am, I will sign off with a Malayaliano, Naatalevadeya, and Parampuri Evada Ghetto. I definitely butchered that, and I'll catch you guys later.